A former police officer will now serve up to 4 years locked up for murdering his wife in Susquehanna County.
John Walker pleaded no contest to the murder that happened more than 30 years ago. Newswatch 16's Amanda Kelly talked to loved ones of the victim. She joins us live from the newsroom with the latest. Amanda?
John and Julie, this plea came as a surprise to many who knew Lynda Conrad Walker well. Back in 1983, her death was first ruled a suicide, but decades later, an autopsy proved that she, in fact, didn't shoot herself. Her husband, John Walker, pleaded no contest to her murder yesterday. It basically means he doesn't admit guilt, but he doesn't fight the charges either. Even so, for some, that plea isn't enough. It's been more than 30 years since Lynda Conrad Walker was found dead, a gunshot wound to her chest, a death originally ruled suicide in Susquehanna County. Walker's childhood friend says years later she still can't believe her friend is gone.
And it's been hard. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about her. You know, she was a very close and dear friend with many of us, and it's heartbreaking.
Now this man, Lynda's husband, John Walker, pleaded no contest to her murder. He was charged in the cold case back in 2011 after a new autopsy. Now he'll be locked up for 2 to 4 years. The victim's mother, Norma, says this case has taken its toll on her.
It's difficult. You have your ups and downs. You think things are going to go the way you want them to, and the next thing you know, they're not.
The state attorney general's office brought charges in the cold case and says, quote, "We believe the conviction achieved in this sad tragedy is an appropriate resolution based on the investigative facts available. Our condolences to the victim's family, and may they now have closure." This more than 30-year-old case comes to a close on the same week that Lynda Conrad Walker would have turned 55. But for her family and friends, they say this case will never truly come to an end.
We waited a long time for this day, but this isn't exactly what we wanted. Not that we wanted a long trial or anything, but we wanted justice for her and for her family.
Lynda's friend had hoped for life in prison or the death penalty. Her mother says this sentence is not for anyone to judge.
The only thing is I can say after 30 years, at least he has served something before he was free and able to do what he wanted.
Now Lynda's mother looks toward the memorial she has for her daughter in her backyard, thankful for the fight others fought on Lynda's behalf.
I just appreciate how all of the people who have been working on this case have just stayed with it, and they've been so kind to me. And I wanted some way to be able to thank them.
Walker will serve 2 to 4 years in prison for the murder of his wife. Amanda Kelly, Newswatch 16, reporting live tonight in the newsroom.
A police officer in Susquehanna County was arrested today and charged with killing his wife 29 years ago.
He was also a cop back then when his wife's death was originally ruled a suicide. Newswatch 16 Sophia Ojeda live tonight from Montrose. Sophia.
Scott Marisa, State Attorney General, would not say exactly what sparked the investigation into the cold case, but did say new evidence was discovered. Today, 52-year-old John Walker was arrested and charged with the murder of his wife back in 1983. This is 52-year-old John Walker, now a suspended police officer, charged with the 29-year-old murder of his estranged wife, Lynda Walker. Some neighbors who heard the news are surprised.
I am very shocked. I can't even imagine all these years why it hasn't been solved. I don't know.
Walker, who up until his arrest was a part-time police officer at the Montrose Police Department, told officials he found his wife dead in their bed on November 13, 1983, with a gunshot wound to her chest and a gun lying next to her. The coroner ruled it a suicide. New evidence in court papers show Walker was having an affair at the time he allegedly killed his wife. Other witnesses testified that Lynda did not seem suicidal at all. And in 2010, Walker told his new wife he destroyed evidence by burning it. An autopsy done in 2011 ruled her death a homicide. Some neighbors hearing about a police officer being charged with murder are now concerned.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, you know, like the cops that are all on the streets, and are we really safe? You know, like to hear that a cop murdered his wife 20-some years ago, almost 30 years ago, and it's just now coming back up.
Walker has been suspended from the Montrose Police Department. Walker was also a county detective, and the district attorney says he will recommend removing him from that position as well. Walker is in jail tonight without bail. He is due back in court on November 5th. Sophia Ojeda, Newswatch 16, live in Susquehanna County.
All right.
Susquehanna County has been locked up since he was arrested last month for allegedly shooting his wife to death nearly 3 decades ago, a death originally ruled a suicide. Prosecutors today presented evidence before the case could proceed to trial, but the defense is already disputing much of it. Newswatch 16's Sophia Ojeda was in court and has the story from our newsroom. Sophia.
Sgt John Walker's defense attorney calls the Commonwealth's case all smoke and mirrors. The defense says not one thing has changed in 29 years or has directly linked Walker to the death of his wife, Lynda Conrad Walker, back in 1983. But the attorney general calls Walker a liar and says there is more than enough evidence to prove he is the killer. John Walker had nothing to say as he headed into district court here in Susquehanna County. The former police officer was brought in wearing handcuffs and shackles to face a murder charge for the death of his wife, Lynda Conrad Walker. Lynda was found dead at their home with a gunshot wound to her chest back in 1983. Her death was originally ruled a suicide, but in 2011, investigators say a new autopsy revealed it was murder. Lynda's brother, also in court, always felt she would have never hurt herself.
I've always felt that he was guilty, but never really had proof in my head, 100% proof. And after today, I feel very confident that 100% proof now to me. And just hope the court comes out with the same answers,
And the prosecution agrees. The Attorney General calls John Walker's story a pack of lies. He says Walker has changed his story from his original statements to police, and the autopsy done by the forensic pathologist showed the way the gun was angled could not be discharged with Lynda's right hand.
The defendant clearly has given 2 varying versions of events. He denies being present at the scene, when clearly eyewitnesses who have absolutely nothing to gain, no dog in this fight, put him there, put his vehicle there.
But John Walker's attorney calls it nothing but smoke and mirrors. He says the prosecution cannot directly link Walker to the scene of the crime or the gunshots witnesses heard to the crime. He says Walker's testimony has been consistent since the beginning. Nothing has changed in almost 30 years.
I don't believe there's any information that law enforcement has today that in any way changes the conclusion that this was a suicide.
Now, Walker's attorney did push for bail, but it was denied, and Walker is back in jail tonight. Walker is due back in Susquehanna County Court next week for his formal arraignment.